I think just make your product line, your life a little bit easier and be more focused, and then you will realize what you need. So this is something I have to say. Thank you.
Jody, I mean, part of it, I think, is also, do you get the designers involved in trying to tell the story further down the line, and how does that work? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
That is one of our challenges, is because we're a big, our marketing team doesn't just work on our stuff, it's for the entire business. And so they have to continue to tell stories for every brand we sell. And so we are trying to inject being able to tell the story from the beginning with our designers. We're trying to inject that into our marketing going forward. So that part was challenge number one. Also, it's knowing your audience, because I feel like when people, our cross-functional teams, when we're talking about our products and what we want to portray, it's in each person's eyes. And it's not asking, well, who's the audience and how do they interpret information? How do they understand it? And so, and because we're selling to so many different people from different cultures, from different backgrounds, it's what's that one thing? And it's telling a compelling story that's simple and makes sense.
I mean, if you look at the research that came out of the OIA for the last 2 or 3 consecutive quarters, the consumer is trending towards a more casual consumer. So you have to tell a story that's relatable. But how do we tell these stories and make it relevant to the end consumer in a way that they get it?
I'm going to plagiarize Simon Sinek and say start with the why. So, you know, as long as we are clear about who the consumer is that we're targeting, and the OIA is doing God's work in trying to identify who they are and how they're shifting. So huge props to them. And like, if you're not reading those reports, please read those reports. Like, there's so much data in them about how the customer is shifting. And so being focused on not just how the overall outdoor customer or athletic customer is shifting, but who your customer is, and then what their whys are, and creating desire. You know, these halls are filled with products that are functional and solve problems. But as designers, our job is to figure out how to make them into a product that creates desire, creates a spark with a customer, and really connects with them at an emotional level. And then it doesn't matter if they're on top of a mountain hanging off of an ice axe, or if they're going for a day hike with their dog wearing running shorts. They're connected to your brand and to your story. So that's how I would approach it.
It was basically, how do we tell a story and get out of the weeds so the consumer understands the value and why they should purchase something. You know, when there are a bazillion hang tags that describe the technology, how do you get past that so they can understand the value? It's a tough one, but it's
Can I jump in? So one of the things that our wonderful product management team at OR did, in working with Ramona, who's sitting right there, is prioritize only the top 3 things that are must-haves, or the 3 things that we need to tell as a story. You know, oftentimes you get a product brief, and I'm sure there are product managers in the room here, and it has like 45 things on it. It needs to have these pockets, it needs to have these features, it needs to have these details, it needs to be this fabric, the fabric needs to be this weight. And you lose that why. And if you don't know what that why is, how is the customer going to know that from the 17 hang tags that are on it? And so prioritizing, like, these are the top 3 things that it has to do in order to solve that problem. It might do 17 other things, but you're going to talk about those 3. 3 that are like really important.
Thanks, Kat, that helps. You know, and I think going back to Simon Sinek, start with why, but it's like defining the problem. What is the problem? You know, I think working with product line managers, you know, it's for 25 years, you know, I've never interesting, but those are the things I think if you can write a brief that's different and concise and specifically about the problem, I think that's where you can start to innovate in a little bit different way. And it's really about
Adding on to that, just every best design solves a problem. But if you can tell the story of why it solved a problem for someone, for that cowboy, for the special ops teams, or when my friend said you want to go hike to the top of Fife, and I thought it was a hike, but it wasn't. It was bouldering in Klaipa the whole time. You tell that story, you're like, that's why we came up with this product. And then everyone's like, oh, yeah. And then it jumps off and gives the creative juices to start creating marketing stories for, like, how do we recreate Christina of her sliding down the mountain on her butt? Like, but, you know, it gives that inspiration, and then that is your defining point, that your focus, the one focus they can go back to, and then everybody can jump off that, and it's clear.
What is I would say, I'll ask everybody, biggest challenge and biggest opportunity for women leaders moving forward?
I think for the biggest challenge is, the small lady, the Asian small lady, we are taught to the guys, you need to be brave. Yeah. And also, just like Jody said, because we look young, you need to prove you're qualified sometimes. Yeah. But I think it's fun because that's a communication like a back and forth. You don't trust and people know you. I learned to try to enjoy this process now. And I think for this challenge for the good parts of the movements in this the lady in the modern society, we're lucky because we gain a lot of respect more than others, more than any other time. So I think it's pretty good.
Biggest challenge and opportunity?
Oh, biggest challenge, I think, is being heard early enough in the process. That's pretty simple, but being heard, and heard at the right moment, I think is really important. And my advice to any women working with issues, don't apologize. You're an expert, your opinion matters. I hear so many conversations where, a female woman, she's like, I'm sorry, I don't understand. You don't need to apologize. Maybe they don't understand, So really be strong. Your voice can be heard. Yeah.
Jumping off of that, the challenge is getting everyone in the room to check their ego at the door. And so it's coming in with an open mind, ask your questions without judgment, and instead of apologizing, ask, could you be more specific? Could you rephrase that? So that you can get more clarity in the conversation instead of making an excuse for yourself. But it's really getting everybody to collaborate.
Oh, I wholeheartedly. This industry has come such a long way from the days of the retailer where it was me and Chris and maybe like 4 other women and then a bunch of guys in plaid shirts. And the bros, they're still wearing. There's the same. Yeah, I mean, it was brotastic. It was something else. And so, I look around and there are so many fresh faces, so many different faces. Not just women in this industry, but young people from all over the world and people from a lot of different backgrounds. And so, I think that's the biggest opportunity for us as female leaders is to embrace that global point of view and really bring in those young voices from a lot of different places and listen to those young voices. That's been really helpful for me to surround myself with that young talent that's going to challenge me, that's going to think differently than me, and is going to give me ideas that honestly in the echo chamber of the bros we would have never come up with. So yeah, I think that's a big one. As far as advice, I mentor a lot through a couple of different universities. Find a mentor. Surround yourself with smart, talented women that can be a sounding board, that can be a friend, and that can also help you network through this industry. And then finally, walk into every room like you belong there, because you do.
I love that. Jody, same thing.
bro industry. The broiest industry I've ever worked in is martial arts, and that's where you physically fight your way to the top. And where this industry, it's just come into the room as like, how do I join this group of people? Look at it as this is a new group, this is a new friend group or a new collaborative group I want to work with. Come in with open mind. That's the biggest thing. It's like in sports we couldn't cross that line on the field to start practice until we clear our mind. And if our coach could tell that like our mind was elsewhere, we were off that field. So it's don't walk into the office, don't walk into the meeting room until you have a clear head, so that you're ready to receive, you're ready to be open and your friend.
I'm gonna go a little bit different way. I'm gonna give advice to the men. Provide a space that feels collaborative, that feels where women have a voice, that don't sit there in that bro culture. Don't create that bro culture. Bring them along with you. Invite them to the work dinners. Do the activities with them.
If you get invited,
Go to Brenner. Yeah, go to Bro Dinner for sure. Allow them, in your environment to rise up and do things. Some things that often happen to me, I have this great idea, and then I go to my boss who's a male, and then there's roadblocks, and it's not always his fault. But give them the space for forgiveness if they want to do something that's new within your organization, and maybe just tell them to go do it, and that it's okay, and yeah. So that's my advice.
I would suggest be more social, to talk with all different people and understand, because the textile industry is very globalized. And because from this process, when you talk with people, and you will learn, and you will become humble, and also you become clear from the question that's thrown to you. So I think the second is I would really recommend to just embrace the change with an open heart. That's very, very important.
We have a few minutes for questions, and we'd love to see if there are any questions in the audience. No questions? Yes, questions, go for it.
So you all spoke to empathy and the female perspective on consumer insights. I was wondering if you had any advice for a strategy to then take that feedback into pushing and using soft influence over cross-functional teams and marketing teams to push for innovation and product adoption.
I think it goes back to what I spoke to about kind of that alignment. How do you create a story? Take that and build a slide or a meeting or something that really just brings everybody together early on in the process. That's then can be referenced all the way through the process.
So I watched Lynn do this at ProZoomy. I watched her do this really, really well. She spoke about going out with the bros and participating in all those activities and bringing the customer point of view with you. So every day, or almost every day, there was a no-drop ride. And everybody put on their bibs and put on their clickety-clackety shoes and got on those bikes and went riding toward Boulder and back. And Lynn would always be up front with the guys and always testing product, and honestly showing them the use case and modeling the customer point of view, and then bringing it back to the process. So